week. That's right, Absolute Batman premiered yesterday. What'd you think? Have you read it yet? Is it good? Sold out everywhere in one day. It is almost impossible to find right now. So let's get into what we bought. Every week, if you're new to this, we go through the comic books we bought. It's our haul for the week. New comic books mostly. Sometimes we buy other stuff. Maybe we buy some back issues. Maybe we buy some other stuff, toys maybe. Comic Plug, our most loyal of loyal followers, is the first one here. Beat Brian into the live. He should be here too, answering questions. But as we know, if you watch this long enough, he is a slacker, and he is not here at 6 o'clock like he's supposed to be. We're going to have a little contest here today. What do you think will come first for Batman, Absolute Batman? Do you think we will get a Funko Pop first? Or do you think we'll get a McFarlane Superpowers figure of the Absolute Batman? Good. After you watch our video, go watch Comic Plug. He has some great videos too. He's friend of the show. We love his show. He loves our show. Here is our comics for the week. We go through each one that we bought. And we talk about how much we paid, if we remember, because most of the time I forget to do that at the end. But let's get started with what we bought. First off, like most people, we bought Absolute Batman. Scott Snyder and Nick Delgado's new series. It's supposed to be really good. Everyone I know that read it said they loved it. This is the Nick Delgado cover. We also bought the Wes Craig cover. We also bought the CEO Jim Lee's cover. We have some other covers coming in the mail. We have the Scotty Young cover coming. We may end up buying the Midtown cover. Yes, I'd like to see the McFarlane first, Brian. I believe Pop will probably beat everybody to it, is what I think. So there we go. Here is our 3 Absolute Batman covers. That's why we titled this week's episode Absolute Batman. This was the biggest comic book of the week. Wes Craig, Jim Lee. Jim Lee working on it. I'm assuming they're going to have a New York Comic Con exclusive. New York Comic Con is next weekend. Put a comment if you're going to be there. I know I will be there on Saturday. So if you see me walking around, stop over and say hello. We can take a picture and I'll post it on the video for our New York Comic Con. We picked up Action Comics number 1070. Mark Waid writing. Clayton Henry is doing the art. I'm a huge Action Comics fan, so I still buy it every month. Batman and Robin 14. Philip Kennedy Johnson and Javi Fernandez. Series has been good. One of my favorite Marvel series right now. I like the relationship between father and son. What they do there. It's been really enjoyable. Batman Gotham by Gaslight. The Kryptonian Age. It's the third series from the Gotham by Gaslight. Andy Diggle is writing. Leandro Fernandez is doing the artwork on it. Vampires return to the DC Universe. It's Vampire World War V. Issue number, what is this issue? I forget. 3. Sorry. Matthew Rosenberg and Otto Schmidt working on this one. We have a one-shot. Green Lantern Civil Corpse number 1. It's a one-shot. Jeremy Adams, one of my favorite writers in comic books. Hope to see him up at New York Comic Con. Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing also helping with the writing. That's 2 Philip Kennedy Johnson comics this week. Let's look at some independents. So here is our DC stack, mostly Absolute Batman. Let's look at some independents. The Terminator is here. Look at this, coming from Dynamite Comics. Declan Salvi is doing the writing. Luke Sparrow is doing the artwork. I can't wait to read this one. This is probably the first one I read from this. Actually, I'll read Absolute Batman first because everybody's saying how good it is. Then I will read The Terminator, followed by our other independent, this, and this, Toxic Avenger number 1 by Ahoy Comics. Matt Bors is doing the writing. Fred Harper is doing the artwork. This one came with a special card. These two were both recommendations from last week. Yes, we're doing a recommendation again this week. You get 1 DC, 1 Marvel, 3 indie comics recommended that you buy next week. Let us know if you pick them up and what you think about them. And this is a rarity because both Brian and I bought the same comic, which doesn't often happen. I'll read this one third. Next up, let's get into our Marvel comics for the week. We got Conquest 2099, number 1, Steve Orlando doing the writing. It's a new 2099 series. They continue to make 2099 series over at Marvel Comics. Another one of our favorite kinds of covers. It's the Marvel Disney mashup covers. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 59. What if Donald, Goofy, and Daisy met for the first time as superheroes? It reprints that old Uncanny X-Men comic. Captain America and Black Widow and Wolverine meet up. I love these covers. I know some people don't like them. I absolutely love them. X-Force number 4, Jeffrey Thorne writing, Marcus Toe doing the artwork. It's a good series. I don't know. Here was the recommendation for the Marvel comic for this week. Blade number 1. It's a red band, which means it's very graphic. Haven't opened it yet, but I will when I read it. Would love to hear what people think of this too, if you read it. Fantastic Four, number 26, Ryan North, who's going to be on the show soon, and Ivan Fiorci working on this one. This has been very enjoyable. It's really exploring the relationship between the members of the Fantastic Four. So it's really not focused on supervillains. It's focused on their relationships. And if you look real close, Johnny Storm has a wicked-looking mustache in there. This one I bought purely because of the fact that I liked the variant cover. Marvel Zombies number 2. It is a homage to an old Thor cover that has been homaged many times. There are some comic books that keep getting, like these homage covers. Look at Spider-Man number 1, how many times they've remade that cover. Indie comic companies do that cover all the time. Another one we bought just because of the variant cover. Ewoks number 1. Look at how awesome that variant cover is. John Tyler Christopher does these action figure covers. I absolutely love them. I love that this looked like the old Ewok show comics. The Ultimates number 5. And I missed the Ultimates number 1, so my comic shop still had it. So here's the Ultimates number 1. We bought 5 and 1. I missed one. I don't know how, but I went to read them and I was missing number 1. So I cannot tell you how. Marcus Toes was absolutely fantastic. His Robin run was fantastic. It's sitting in a drawer right in front of me. Finally, Brian and I both got the Chip Zdarsky newsletter. If you're not getting this at your comic shop, ask him to put it aside from you. It's really funny. He does actually a really good newsletter too. So if you're a fan, I highly recommend picking this up. Didn't only buy new comics, but a couple of back issues. Our comic shop, JHU Comics, has dollar bins for the first time in a long time. Superman would always win. Come on, it's Superman. Speaking of Superman, here's Solar Man number 1. A very old comic book. Only had 2 issues. I guess it didn't work out. It was $1. And Omega Men number 1 was also only $1. How could I pass it up? And our comic shop owner, Nick, said, you will definitely buy this comic book for $1. And he was right. Here's our 5 recommendations for next week. So if you're putting your order in at your local comic shop, make sure to order these 5 comics. You get 1 Marvel, 1 DC, and of course you get, Stan Lee did Solar Man. And of course you get 3 indies. Our DC recommendation is Batman Full Moon number 1. It's written by Rodney Barnes with art by Steve Subrick. It's Rodney Barnes, the guy who wrote Philadelphia, which is really good horror stuff. Full Moon is Batman takes on a werewolf. So it's obviously an Elseworld story. It's not in the regular DC universe. It's going to be outside of DC universe. Pick that up. It's supposedly going to be bloody. It's going to be a bit gory. It's October. You got to do horror. Also, as a side thing, get Batman and Robin Year 1. That comes out next week too. So I gave you an extra one this week. For Marvel, our recommendation for next week is Moon Knight, Fist of Kenosha, number 1. Moon Knight story continues. I highly recommend picking that one up. Who doesn't love Moon Knight? And here are our three, not one, not two, not three, three indie recommendations. Our first indie recommendation is Exorcism at 1600 Penn, #1. Okay, there you go. President's election coming up. We're doing an exorcism at the White House. Who wouldn't want it? IDW's putting it out. Hannah Rose May writing. Definitely check that one out. Highly recommend that you read Exorcism at 1600. It's going to be talked about by a lot of people, and it's going to go like this in value, I believe. How could it not? #2, Godfather of Hell, #1. Kevin Scott, who is going to be on the show soon. He has already agreed to do an interview with us. We just have to schedule a time. Vault Comics is putting that out. It's about a gangster who ends up in hell and tries to take over. Sounds right up Brian's alley. Finally, The Pedestrian #3. That's right. Our friends at Magma Comics, Sean Gorman and Joey Esposito's 3rd issue. We interviewed them last week. The episode comes out on Tuesday. It was probably the most fun we've had on an interview. It's the first time we've interviewed the writer and the artist at the same time. Loads and loads and loads of fun. It's issue #3. If you've missed issue #1 or 2, go to your local comic shop now and pick it up. It is definitely obscure. If you've ever enjoyed the obscurity of comic books, this is it. Also this week I bought something. I went down a rabbit hole this week, so I'm going to extend this episode a little bit longer. I went down a rabbit hole this week. I started buying these Marvel cards. They're from 2024, right? So as you know, if you've been watching us, we're big Mike Allred fans, so they had a Mike Allred signed card. He drew She-Hulk, and this is his autograph card, and I got it at a really good price, so I picked that up. I also picked up this Jim Starlin signed card. Actually, I got this one for really cheap, and I couldn't pass it up. And so the rabbit hole took me down, and I started buying all of the She-Hulk, all the Mike Allred She-Hulk variant cards. This is the base one. This is the comic cover one. So it's a comic cover variant. If you see, it says She-Hulk right there. And this is the teal wave. And I have about 4 or 5 other ones coming. So keep an eye on it. Give me your guess before we go on how much I spent this week. Why do I say month? Weekly. This week, how much do you think I spent? And funny, this week when I went to the comic book store, Brian was there at the same time. We usually don't do that, but we got to talk to the owner, and we are planning something big with JHU Comics. We will let you know soon what that big thing is. We just have to work out the details, but too much is right. So what do you think? How much did I spend? Brian, give it a guess. What do you think I spent? You were standing in line with me. $96.99. There you go. $96.99 this week. $200. Shut your mouth. $96.99. There you go. Fun for the week. Only spent $99. We spent like 30 minutes in the store talking comics with the owner and with some other shoppers there. It was a nice time. It was, like sitting at the bar, but it's the comic shop. Thanks for watching. One of these, Brian might join us. Love what you collect what you love. I will see you next week. Don't forget, we're here every Thursday at 6 o'clock chatting, talking, going over what we bought. It is right now. JHU Comics is now the only comic shop on Staten Island that has weeklies. There's another one by the ferry. Brian will post what it is. I don't remember the name of it. But they're only open sporadically. At one point we had like 6, and we are literally down to 1. And that one we love. We love JHU. It's nowhere near us. It takes us 40 minutes to get there and 40 minutes to get home on Wednesdays when we go. Hypnotronic, there you go. I knew Brian would know. They are not open every day, and they do no longer carry weeklies. Hell yeah, turkeys. You got to see them hanging out in trees. Terrifying. Check out our episode where we went to St. Anne's and Brian bought the Kill a Turkey comic book that's out now. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Same time. Same Collector's Confession channel. I'll be here. Brian will be here. We'll have a recommendation. We'll have what we bought. Maybe by then we'll have a Funko Pop of Absolute Batman. Next week's will be our special New York Comic Con edition of this because we're going to be going there the next day. So thanks for watching.